So first up here, we have Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins. The Cowboys are hosting the Detroit Lions this week, and the Falcons are traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. We just saw Kirk Cousins have the game of his career, throwing 58 passes, completing 42 for 4 touchdowns, and scoring 35 points. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott played on 2 different nights and threw interceptions in 2 different days in the same game, but still put up 18 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek, I want to ask you, Dak Prescott, how are you feeling about him this season?
Really solid. I mean, I think we're seeing a little bit of regression from kind of a ridiculous season he had last year. I mean, if you go back and look at his 2023, you can make a solid case that he was like maybe number 2 for the MVP, maybe number 1. I wouldn't argue too hard if you put him over Lamar. And I think this year, it's kind of it's been a tougher schedule. Cleveland's pretty good on defense, and that game was kind of a weird game flow. New Orleans, they got blown out pretty early and then just couldn't claw back. And that defense is not bad. And then, Baltimore, New York's apparently pretty good, and Pittsburgh's a good defense. So if you're feeling a little bit like let down by Dak Prescott so far this year, his schedule is about to get a little bit more friendly. Not too much. They play a really tough schedule this season. But I think overall, he's a little bit below expectations, but I don't think it's time to panic on him yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's still QB8 on the season so far for fantasy. Kirk Cousins is sitting at QB 13, which is borderline QB, like starting quarterback in non-super flex leagues. So that's pretty good. The Lions have given up the 4th most passing yards per game, which does lead to Dak Prescott doing seemingly pretty well with CeeDee Lamb. This might be a good game for CeeDee Lamb as well. The Lions are coming off of a bye. They are 1-1-1 with Dan Campbell as the head coach. So take that as you will. That's what our stats department came back with. Thank you, Josh. Dak is tied for third in picks this season with 4. That's, again, take that as you will. There's more quarterbacks that have Patrick Mahomes has thrown more than that. Kirk Cousins has thrown more than that. And Kirby Joseph on the other side is second in interceptions this season. So it could be a tough game script. I don't know how you take that. Kirby Joseph being second in interceptions, but they also give the 4th most passing yards per game.
Yeah. I think what the best thing Dak has going for him, well, it's 2 things. One, they're playing at home, which they've lost, I think, their last 3 home games dating back to last season. But playing at home should be a little advantageous for that offense. And also that game has the highest over under for the week. So Vegas expects there to be a lot of points. They expect it to be a shootout. So those are good signs pointing in the direction of Dak being a good guy to start this week. Now, if you have Cousins on the other side, you got a little bit of a dilemma because he's coming off a really, really great week. He has extra time to prepare for his game this week against Carolina, who just got torched by Caleb Williams, who looked bad previous to that. So that's a little tempting, looking at, and they have the 3rd highest implied team total of any team this week. So if you have both those guys, Justin, what are you thinking with those 2 guys?
I guess that's I'm supposed to ask you the question, man.
Oh, no, I'm the host now. I took over.
I'm the captain now. Yeah. So I think I have to go with the guy that's been doing it. It's Dak Prescott, who has been the more consistent of the 2 quarterbacks. I do have Dak Prescott in leagues. I have been pretty happy with him. I haven't considered dropping him not dropping him, but benching him for others. If you take out the game that Kirk Cousins just had, that 35 points, can you guess where he would be sitting right now in terms of rankings?
I just happen to be looking at his stats right now. I'm going to guess the 20 range. QB
25. He would be QB 25 without that 35-point game. Because of the 35-point game, he is boosted to the QB 13. That was a shootout with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been scoring a lot of points. The Falcons had to score a lot of points. They took Bijan out of the game. Literally every receiver blew up. I don't see that happening with Kirk Cousins again. He's 36, throwing the ball 58 times. I don't see that even with Carolina. I think they're gonna get up on Carolina, and then they're gonna move on to Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and get the running game more involved in this game. If you look at his other highs, his second most highest scored points is 17.5 points this year in week 2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, it's the good teams that he has to score a lot of points to beat where he's getting more points. He's had 2 games under 10 points. That's not great. I know week 1, he was getting used to that offense, but week 4, just a week ago, right before this last 35-point game, he scored 8.5 points. I'm gonna go with Dak Prescott. He's guaranteed to give you at least 15, 16, 17 points. I think I'm gonna take CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys offense against one of the teams that gives up the most passing yards, per game and go Dak to start. What about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think I would also start Dak over Kirk. The other thing Dak has going for him is he doesn't run the ball too much, but he does have 8 carries for 24 yards this year, including a game where he had 12 yards. And that, it may not sound like much, but that 1.2 points almost cancels out an interception or a fumble if he has one. So
Mhm.
that's not something you're going to get from Kirk Cousins uh, at all. So uh, that's kind of a nice tiebreaker for me between those two. Is that somewhat rushing upside, and you also have a nice floor there with Dak. I think, like you said, we can expect double digits from Dak, regardless how that game goes.